are live. How is everybody on this good, gracious Friday? And tonight, guys, we have a guest. We have the one, the only, Michael Kopf. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. I'm just going to share out quickly. So, how's everybody's week?
Usual.
Rubbish.
Full of chaos.
Been all right. Yeah.
Carnage.
Chaos here with him.
I hope it's not the Jaguar.
No, the Jaguar's fine.
Just sharing this out quickly. Thank God that they've got share buttons at the side so you could just click it, hit it quite quickly. Hello, Michael. There you are. William says, greetings from the 8th world. I'm the first tonight. I hate to tell you, Michael, bet you.
1 minute.
Hi, Nigel, the North Pole.
But you got to say,
hi, Experience the Paranormal.
You got to say, William beat Eric, so that's a first.
William's always beating Eric these days. He is.
Although technically, I can say we can still say William's the first because technically, as a guest, I would be.
Oh well. Right, William, you were first tonight. So obviously, thank you. On you going?
I said Nigel was the first from the North Pole.
So I just want what you like. So I want to wish a happy anniversary to my other half, 10 years today.
Oh, OBE.
Oh, that man needs something. I was here the whole time, so why did you not say hi? Right, yeah, like Eric. So, Michael, tell us a bit about yourself.
So, I've been in the paranormal all my life, and the funny thing is I never realized I was in the paranormal all my life because I grew up in metaphysics. So I would have a lot of experiences, and I would say, oh, yeah, I had this metaphysical experience at this age. And then in my 30s, I met some people who were in the paranormal, and they started talking to me about paranormal stuff, and I was like, really, that's paranormal? I've had that all my life and realized I grew up in paranormal.
Yeah, know how that feels.
But
so
yeah, I think we will do.
Sorry?
On you go, Bri.
No, just
right.
I think we all do. We're all like that. Started as kiddies.
Yeah.
And we've diversified. That's the thing we do. We've diversified and we've moved into it. I mean, Ian does investigations, private ones. I do a mixture of private and just for myself. And I'm not sure about you. What do you do in the field, Michael?
So in the field, I investigate hotels, asylums.
Oh, wow.
I've investigated military base that was deactivated. I've investigated hospitals. And let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I've investigated. Well, I did investigate a school in West Virginia one time during the day even, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean that is a myth. I think it transmits a lot better on an evening because it's the atmosphere for viewers. But anybody that's in paranormal world knows that it don't matter what time of day there's activity. So it just doesn't transmit on camera the same. But yeah, pretty much same as you then, Michael. Me, apart from, I don't think I've done a hotel. I've done pubs, and I've done guest house, but not a hotel as such. So, but yeah, they're all full at the moment in this country. We don't get chance.
So, Michael, tell me a wee bit, what asylums have you explored?
So we call them asylums, but they're more of mental hospitals. And one was like a ward where they were taking care of the elderly. And it was before it had a lot of regulations, and then a haunted house company bought them, and they changed the name to include asylum on it. So it wasn't a true asylum, but from the activity, you'd never know it. And from the looks of the place, it was like, yeah, you could easily go, this should have been called an asylum. But when I'm there, I've had, and I'm sure you all have had this, the fun of, I would turn the equipment off and then stuff would get thrown behind me. And I'm like,
Yep.
do this while I was filming, to show it coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, I've had that many times. I remember once I had a door, the handle went down, the door completely opened, and then the handle went back up, and I had the camera in my hand ready to put on the tripod. I thought, what can you wait for?
Yep. Or the great famous one where you're at a point where you think, oh, nothing's going to happen. Let's pack up and go home. And as soon as you turn everything off and start to, pack away, you hear footsteps walking about, you hear some falling, and you're just thinking, why? Why? Rita says hi to everyone. Hi, Nicola. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Noreen. Nettie says hi to... Rita says hi to Noreen. Noreen. Nettie, even better. And it's just highs and the thingy.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I had the one that's the most famous and irritating of all is, had my phone filming, and I'm looking at this activity going off on the floor and thinking, oh, this is so cool. I'm catching this all on film. Get home, and the screen had flipped, and I was filming the ceiling.
Oh.
No. Oh, my God. This is horrid.
Or the great one where you think the camera's on and it's been switched off.
Oh, yeah. That's annoying, too.
Oh,
I walked the whole way around the church thinking it was filming and it weren't, so I've got to go and do it again.
Oh, there's nothing that is nothing worse.
Spirit, you did such a good job on the first run through. Now we're going to do it for real. Can you do that again?
With a bit more feeling.
Yeah. We need more cowbell.
It's like being at the theatre. Eric says, or it starts happening before you set up. Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Experiencing the paranormal said that happened in the Skidby a few weeks ago. Then a while later, heavy footsteps in the same room running across the room. It's so they see cameras and think, oh, I can't be bothered with this.
That's why I always leave my cameras as the last thing I take down.
Yeah.
My body cam is the last thing I take off now. I'm like, I'll stop recording with the other camera, but I'm like, the body cam's still running. Just in case.
Yeah, you're a pup. I only use my phone. On my gimbal.
I must admit, body cams are becoming more and more popular now in the paranormal.
They are, but that'd be dangerous for me.
Yeah. And so's the look Nettie's giving you at this precise minute, Bri.
I'm expecting this good. If my face is red, you know what's happening.
To what he's like. Hey Robert, how you doing? So, you had any experiences? Like, when was your first experience? How did that go, Michael?
So my first, hold on, dog's running outside, squirrel around. My first paranormal experience was actually when I was 2, and I was on the second floor of our house at the time where I lived, and there was a basement, and it was wintertime, so I was in my winter gear because it's cold where I was, and my parents had covered up this vent opening because they were doing some work up there. Well, something had moved the board that was covering it, and so I'm looking over the vent opening that goes straight down to a basement, and next thing I know, it's like I'm in the vent. And I was like, what's going on? And I come to, and I have no broken bones, no cuts, no lesions, but I did have a wire nick my eyebrow. So I have a spot on my eyebrow that doesn't grow hair anymore since I was. And the reason I tell the story this way is because that's how I first remembered it. Then, as a teenager, I had a vision, dream, or however you want to call it, memory recall, and I saw something grab me as I was falling, and having a conversation with this being, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And then I was like, okay, so maybe that explains, they helped me to the ground. So I didn't, get hurt. Okay. Then in talking with a medium guest on one of my shows, she goes, well, there was 2 beings actually. One being pulled you in by accident or on purpose. And she goes, accident, because he grabbed my arms and I went down and into the vent. And she said then another being came and took me away from that being and she was like, yeah, that's the one that really helped you. And in this moment, I was pulled out of time. And the reason I say that is we all know how long it takes you to fall from a second story, first story to a basement. Well, I'm having a conversation with this being. Mind you, this is 2 years old. And I get recall of the conversation, and it goes like this. So, yes, I want to be able to help people. So I need to have access to gifts, when they're appropriate time so that I can help people. And I want, when you reinsert me, make sure, that I know that these gifts are here and start, helping me to learn how to use them and everything. And they were like, okay, yeah. And so we're like having this negotiation. I come and walk away, and I'm like, what 2-year-old has that conversation? I was like, what happened? And so then later on again, it's like I keep getting pieces to the puzzle, and it's like that. And when people ask me like, "Why do you do paranormal?" I was like, "That story is the reason why." You get a puzzle, and then you'll get a piece to it that leads you to another piece that leads to another piece, and before you know it, you have a full true story, and you get to scrape off the parts that you thought were truth, but where your mind filled in to make you feel better. So it's like, yeah, because I used to always tell the story as being an addict, and they were like, "Nope, you were on the second floor." And then they were like, you really ought to start telling people that you were in like your heavy winter gear because it was winter time, and maybe that helped too. And it's like, okay, I didn't realize it was winter, but okay. And so, yeah, it's the beauty of, we get to not only on a personal level, but places we're at, unravel the legend and find the truth and piece together the story around that. And yeah, that's the exciting part, instead of just going by a book saying, yeah, this is what happened. It's like, no, this is what really happened.
Yeah. And I think as well, it's your own personal experience as well. And like, as I've like done the paranormal, it's made me look back at my first experience and say, no, I definitely know that light went on and that person was gone. Because I was just a wee bit older than you, I was 4. And my mum had put me to bed, and long story short, I woke up and at the bottom of the bed there was a man who was dressed as a farmer pointing a shotgun at me, covered in blood. And I can remember screaming and the light going on and the figure had disappeared. And it just memorises me how I know the person was there. I physically seen them. I could tell you what they looked like, what they were dressed as, where the blood was, the gun, everything, right down to the finest of details. And as soon as that light went, and that, I think that is fascinating.
Yeah, and I'll share with you an experience that happened to me one night growing up, and actually, I don't think I've ever told this on an interview before. So
I feel honored, thank you.
But so I had gone to sleep, and my window faces the neighbor's house next door, and we were on a corner house, and so I always would have my window open, the blinds open, because there's no reason.
Okay, Nick, this is Michael. Michael, this is Nick.
Hi there, Mike. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I think I've seen your name around on Facebook.
I'm pretty much I'm all over the place.
the man, the myth, and the legend.
But so Nick, you might actually enjoy this experience I had being elementary school, and I was explaining looking out a window to my neighbor's house, and I'm asleep, and something tells me wake up, and I start to stir, and I'm like, it's pitch dark, looking out, and all of a sudden I look at the window, and there's 2 yellow eyes staring in, and I'm like frozen, going, oh man, what do I do? Do I get up, try and make a run for it? Do I stay? So I'm like, well, I'm gonna go get my parents because something's up. So I was like, I got to the point that I was feeling uncomfortable enough to get up. So We go, they come, and they're like, there's nothing there. We go outside and do a quick look at night and the next day. No footprints anywhere around my window. No, nothing. But I know I saw these two yellow eyes, and they looked like eyes. It looks like it was the eyes. The face was blacked out, but just the eyes, total yellow.
Oh, wow.
And
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, Robert says, oh shit, Nettie, with that strange man again. Rhea's laughing. Williams discounted 4 new hairs on his chest. You're very welcome, Eric. Rhea says, hi, Nick. And Robert says, that Nick likes his own voice.
I gotta say to Captain Birdseye 4. Yeah, the reason I have this is I have 3 shows of my own that I do, so that's why I have a background. Otherwise, I'd be looking just like everybody else.
I've got a background right now too.
Yeah. Oh well.
No, you can't be.
With a name like Captain. Well, with a name like Captain Birdseye, what do you need to? So, what's your favourite location that you've investigated?
So, that is a good question, and I have 2 actually that I have investigated the most. And one is the Old Park Hotel in Ballinger, and I have investigated there 7 times, and the only reason I know this is because every time I investigate, I stay in a different room, and so I count how many rooms I have not stayed in. So I got 3 left out of the 10. So I know I've investigated it 7 times, and there's a jail across the street that we get to investigate now, and it's a location that never disappoints. It always has some activity going on, whether it's orbs or could be fairies showing up, or it could be the spirits making themselves known. There's always something, and the owners, Connie and Dan LaFave, are so cool, and they'll investigate with you or let you go on your own if you want, but they are a wealth of knowledge and so much fun to investigate with. And the other location is a little more heart saddened because it was Fort Walters military base in Mineral Wells, and I was part of the team that was the first to step foot in there to paranormal investigate. And a couple of weeks ago, we investigated there for the last time. So it's no longer available. So I was like, that's why I say it's a little heartfelt and sad, because I was the first and last in several investigations in between. But this one, Fort Walters is where I got my first. Like, I could get 2 or 3 Class A EVPs. We had phenomena we could never explain. We could find a source for it, but we could never explain how it was going off. And then it would start to move out of that room. The object it was attached to would stay there, but it would go and make itself known in another room. So we're like, how does that work?
Yeah. Class A's are awesome. Class. See, when you get that Class A, I don't know about anyone else, but I get so excited because it's like, oh my God, it's as clear as day when it comes through.
Yeah.
Right.
I love being in the reviews, and when you get them, it's like I will listen to it 5 times to make sure I'm hearing what I'm hearing. And then I'll send it off to someone to go, are you hearing what I think I'm hearing? Without telling them what I'm hearing. And they're like, yeah, you got it. And then it's like, you get it back and you're like, okay, owner, here is this. You need to advertise this. And then it's like, no, but it's like, yeah, it's euphoric when you get those. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It is really exciting when you do get that Class A. I'd never heard of Class A before.
Oh,
Sorry, my connection. And it's no Nick having the connection issues tonight, it's me.
Not this time. Not like it was yesterday. That was a disaster.
Oh, he was in and out. But yeah, Class A's are just, I think they're amazing. I can remember being in my first team and they got a Class A, and Michael, you should have listened to this. You can literally hear a female screaming, and it sounds like Bible verses, like somebody's reciting Bible verses, and it was just wow. It was mind blowing. Have you gentlemen got any questions for Michael?
Oh, question time. Okay, what's the place you'd like to investigate more than anywhere else?
Ooh, that's a good one. So, international, I gotta say, would be either the tunnels under Edinburgh or the Paris catacombs.
Oh yeah,
We have a. What's funny is we have a viewer. She hasn't been able to watch for the last few days because she's actually in France. Well, I think she's coming back home, but she was in France, and she was just in the catacombs.
Yeah, I have a friend that goes in the catacombs and investigates every once in a while, and he says you almost literally do have to leave a bread trail, crumbs, because you can get lost in there.
yeah.
Like even in the areas where it's like the accessed areas, you could still get lost. So, very much like the rest of the tunnel system that's been closed off to the public, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just and domestic, I would have to say a place that I really want to go to. It's gonna sound really strange. That's jumping in mind is the Yuma prison, where it's just an adobe prison that has like women and men were there, but they were like didn't need many guards because they'd say if you escaped out, you just die in the desert before you got to civilization in the old west. And it's like, man, that has got to have some stories to it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. You've got one that.
Yuma.
On you go, Nick.
See, I was looking it up. Are you talking about the Yuma Territorial Prison, if that's correct, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. You've got one where you will die drowning, and now you've got one that you'll die in dehydration.
What can I say? I like water.
I hadn't heard of that one before. I need to actually look that up. That sounds terrible, but I'm about to say, I was going to say that sounds pretty cool. Know that you could die of dehydration. I don't think that's pretty cool, but there was a prison in the middle of the desert.
Yeah. And I would say close second would be the castles around Ireland and UK.
Mm.
Those would be so much fun to investigate.
Well, if you come over here, I will guarantee Warwick Castle is a good one to go to.
Have you ever been to the UK, Michael?
I have. Once I got to tour around. I went with. I had graduated high school and I was with the theater company, I say company, but it was students, and my old teacher took a class trip over, and she allowed me and my parents to go along, and so we got to tour all the great theaters like the Globe and all the others, and see Stratford upon Avon, and go to a few other spots. And the only other times I was in England, unfortunately, was flying over to either France or Egypt. So I got to see the airport a lot more than I got to see the country.
Never say never, Michael. There maybe be a point where you come over again.
I'm looking forward to coming back and doing some investigating now that I know about investigating, because it's all. I always like to tell people, you go to these really cool places as a kid and go on all these vacations growing up, and then you get into like the paranormal field and you find out majority of the places you've already been to are very active, and you're like, man, if I had known this, I would have gone and done this. Yeah. Now I gotta go back because now there's this angle to the trip.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, a lot of people will say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky staying in Scotland. You've got so many castles." But I'm the type of person that will always say, "There's only so many castles you can look at. There's other things that I would love to investigate and see." And I've always said about America being the most amazing place I would love to come and visit, because I would love to experience it going in and out of a proper jail. The furthest I've been investigating a jail was Stirling Jail, and I didn't really rate that much because you weren't really allowed to investigate the full place. You only had the top and the bottom floor, so I didn't really get that experience to enjoy it. But the activity I've heard over in America's jails are pretty awesome. Like, I've always heard people raving about them. So I would love to experience that.
Yeah, it is funny how there are paranormal investigators out there, and they're like, can I please investigate the jail? I want to go to the jail. I want to go. And it's like, they're like banging on the doors to get into the jail. And it's like, everybody else is like, really? I would be like banging on the doors to get out of the jail.
Well,
we want to go.
Yeah, I'll swap you, Michael, because you've got plenty of castles in Scotland, so that give you the opportunity.
Us investigators are definitely a different breed of people, that's for sure.
Yeah, just make sure you clarify to the officers that you are only wanting to visit, not become a permanent resident.
I have a good friend in Canada, and the boys will know who I'm talking about. I've had him onto the Graven back. I really must kidnap this young man again, and it's Wes Coleman.
You're always
I knew you were going to say his name.
Wes Coleman, and his paranormal team is made up of correctional officers. So yeah, I loved having him on and hearing his stories about working in the correctional office.
It amazes me how watching like the UK and Scotland and England, Wales, everybody over there is like, from what we see, like, oh yeah, we have this paranormal history. We have spirits here, and we name them this or that. You come here in the U.S. and it's like, you ask officers, like, do you have any paranormal experiences? And they're like, I can't answer that. I can't, because that'll put my job at risk. And it's like, we are so like, you got to really dig to find paranormal.
Yeah.
stories, and it's like, man, it is interesting to see, you know, that aspect. And I had a couple of active officers on my show, and they were, you know, sharing their stories, you know, paranormal experience, but they had to be and she says, I apologize, you know, in advance, but we can only disclose this amount of information in this format, and we cannot talk more about it because we have to protect ourselves. And I'm like, I understand, but yeah, it's unfortunate, but I look forward to the day when the U.S. is as open to the paranormal as the UK area is.
Yeah.
Because we just don't care.
It's just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Although
the crazy is the norm in the UK, so it's no.
Yeah.
I used to tell people that there's the reason it's more paranormal activity in the UK versus US that's talked about is because of the history. And now I've come to realize that America is as old in history as the UK, if not older, because in the Bronze Age, there were cultures in America getting the copper off of the Mississippi River. They found settlements and everything, and so it's like our history has been rewritten to where we did not pop up on the scale 200-300 years ago. No, we were around in the BC history time.
Yeah. Was it good, Nick? Sorry, Brian, what were you saying, honey?
I said Africa is the oldest nation.
Yeah. Nick,
What were you going to say, Lois?
Was it you that told me, or was it someone in the chat that told me about Wisconsin, that Wisconsin is not, it's a yearly found, it's not yearly found, but it's not as long as what people think that Wisconsin actually is in the American soil.
Well, I'm sorry. What was? You closed up on my side. I wasn't sure what you were saying.
Right, Wisconsin. That's a not yearly found state, but that's one of the most newest ones to American soil.
Not necessarily, but it was added. It was added later. Because it was founded back in it became a state in 1848.
I knew somebody had said it, but I couldn't remember who.
It was
I
probably
found that quite fascinating.
Joe, probably, because he lives in Wisconsin.
It probably was Joe. So, do you know, having so many shows, and you'll know it yourself, Michael, when you have so many shows and something comes in your feed, but you can't exactly pinpoint where you've had it or said it.
I simplified my life by saying a guest on one of my shows told me this. That's how I cover it. Instead of like one, it gets you to watch all the shows to find the guests, but two, it's like, yes, I don't have to remember where exactly. When you're approaching 100 episodes, it's hard to.
Wow.
Yeah, that episode was this one in this season. It's like, I'm like, no.
I don't even want to start counting how many shows I've done, if I'm really honest, Michael. we will be 2 years for both shows this year in July. And poor Nick, I was sitting last night with a rotor, so I used to have seen me, guys. It was funny. So I've got the glasses up, I've got the pencil in one, the book in the other, and all that. Right, And I said, well, I'll relook at the schedule. And I went, right, 4th of July, you remember we've got the 2nd anniversary to the Graven back, and Nick went, 4th of July? And I was like, oh, yeah. 4th of July is out the window. Sorry, only back to the 11th of July. It's just like, oh, really?
So mine is a little different because counting episodes, because I originally started the last week of July 2 years ago. So technically, yes, I'm in my second, almost third year of shows, but that one, we rushed it out to get on the network, and it was our introduction, and it was, I can't even remember the name of it. I used to know it right off the bat. Exploring Our Secret Past. And it ran from the end of July to December. And in December, my co-host and I were talking, and we're like, everyone's getting this confused. So we really ought to re-engineer the show, redo everything. Let's up our game a little bit, and so we got a new intro, new name. So that's the energy that surrounds us, became that show. And from January to December, it's like I keep what I call my paranormal resume. And so at the end of the year, I count how many episodes were in this show. So I'm like, okay, so I did 55 episodes. Great. Then in January, I was like, all right, we're starting season 2. We're going to make some changes. So then I go back to 1, and then I count up, and I do however many I'm going to do this year. But then in January, I decided last year not only to start the energy that surrounds us, but a friend in the UK named Kel Ridley was doing a show, and her co-host and her kind of parted ways, and she was like, hey, I want to do a show, but I have a hard time because she's being a Geordie that a lot of people get her accent, and I'm like, I can understand it just fine. And so I got the job, and we started Paranormal Versus, and now we're in season 2 of Paranormal Versus this year. So all my shows went to season 2 in January, and I count how many shows in December were done, and then it's like I just mark it that way. And in August, I launched a series doing esoterics, meaning the unknown history or secret history, and it's kind of like some conspiracy topics, but it's stuff that's interested me. And so I had something happen that year that drove me to go, all right, I'm going to take a leap of faith. And believe me, it was a leap of faith. But I started my series Writing Through the Unknown in August, and I told myself I'm going to do 2 a month because I don't know if this is going to work and if people are going to gravitate towards it. So I don't want to put a lot of energy into it. If it's going to bomb, let it bomb softly, not, have, a lot of behind it and be like, man, that was a lot of energy wasted. But I told myself 10 episodes. Well, a friend offered to do something for me live, so I was like, okay, we'll do 11. And it was so well received, and I started it with 3 guests. And I was like, no idea how I was going to finish out the rest of the season of 10 episodes. I had 7 people to schedule, no idea who to talk to. And people would just start coming up to me and going, oh, you should talk to this person. And that person would lead me to this person. And
Yeah.
Before I knew it, I had all my shows booked. And I was like, wow. And I decided, there's actually something to this. So instead of saying, yeah, we'll do season 1 of that show this year, I told myself, you know what, we did half a season. We'll count it. So I was like, 11 episodes, that was your season 1, folks. Now we're in season 2. And it's like, so it's fun. And I call it host prerogative. I could count it as season 3 if I wanted to.
I mean, see, to be honest, if I had to really go back and sit and count through, I think I would scare myself with how many episodes I've done, to be fair. But I know what you're talking about when you're picking guests and you get connected to the next person because somebody will talk about that person or they'll say, and I used to be very confident to approach people because I'm thinking they'll think, who the hell am I? What the hell are you doing in my inbox sort of thing? But then I've just I bit the bullet and just thought, do you know what? What's the worst thing that they're going to say? No. That's the worst thing they're going to say. So I've just decided, and it's good to have guests and it is good to meet other people for different walks of life.
Well, I've certainly done that.
Yeah.
Oh God, we've had so many guests. I would say really it's just been really the last year, guys, since we've taken really guests on. That really we just did subjects and then it was just let's go for it. Let's see who comes, who doesn't, and people have came back, so it's a good sign when they come back.
And I recently did an interview with a lady in Canada, and it was really interesting because when we took a break, and in the break she goes, "So who should I interview that you know?" And I'm like, "I beg your pardon?" She goes, "No, really. Who would you recommend for me to, interview?" And I was like, "Wow, let me think. Who have I just had on that was really good, cool show?" I had to think about it, and I was like, "Okay, here's the list of people," and I gave her their Facebook pages, and was like, and then they turn around, and it's like all of a sudden it's like I see, oh, so and so is going to be on, so and so is going to be on. I'm like, oh, cool, they're actually connected, and it's like, to me, I was like, that was brilliant how to build a paranormal community. And what she does is with the link trees where you create all your links to share everything.
Oh, Nick's away again.
Yeah.
Nick's here again.
It's acting up again.
And she has a chat group to her paranormal interviewers to where you can put your link tree and you have this database of if I want to talk to so-and-so, I click their link tree and I can figure out what's the best way for me to contact them. And it's like, and not only that, but I don't know if you guys are like me and I like to share out the links to my guest in the description.
Yeah.
Like
well, do you know, funny enough, you've just taken the thoughts out my head because I was waiting till you were finished to say that to you if you want to put your links in the comments.
I'd have to go find my links. Let me see. I'll put my link tree up because I have too many links. I'm all over social media now because having to figure how to. Because when Facebook acts up, it's like, oh boy, how do I do this now?
Oh, while you're doing that, Michael, you've just put me in mind because I promised Wayne I would do this, and again my brains went. Wayne is doing a charity thing for cancer. He is my mind serves me right. Nikki's doing a walk. And what I'll do, guys, is I'll put the link in the comments below tonight as well for him. He was telling us last night on to the Graven back. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. In fact, I'll do it now while I remember. Because he couldn't find the link last night, how to do it.
So that's really weird. I commented earlier, and now it's telling me I can't comment.
That's really weird. I don't know what it is with StreamYard that does this.
I know, it's just a pain in the backside.
Really
in fact, Michael was saying about, I'll tell you off air, Nick. It's worth a try. Right, 2 seconds to see where Wayne's. And for people that didn't see it last night, we spoke about a really interesting subject last night. We spoke about the Black Sun, and it was
Black
really.
Sun,
I found it really, really interesting last night. I'd never had heard of it. It was definitely a good show. Right, what Wayne is doing is walk 60 miles in June for Pancreatic Cancer UK. So what I'll do is, guys, I will post the link just now. See, Facebook and changing things. What about you, Bri? You got any questions? Like, any questions for Michael?
I was just wondering what's coming up for you. Have you got anything planned in the future?
Oh, I know what I'll do. I figured out a workaround.
Sorry, I've not turned the volume down on my phone, and every time I think it comes up. So that's me, guys. I put the link for Wayne's fund raiser in the chat. Sorry, Bri, what were you saying? Because you broke away there when you were talking. Sorry.
I just said if Michael's got anything planned in the near future.
Planned in the near future, I am trying to get, actually, ironically, to England in July to go to my co-host of Paranormal Versus wedding. So that should be exciting if I can pull that off and make that work. And I have a couple of conferences or a conference I'm hoping to attend. And paranormal wise, I have a brilliant idea for my podcast show that's coming up, and that'll be in October, which is one of my guests suggested, with it being Halloween season, why not do episodes all around ghost stories? And I thought that was brilliant. And so I am looking at taking my the energy that surrounds us show, and instead of just doing interviews, be like, hey, we're going to do a month of ghost stories.
Yeah, definitely. So, when you do come over, whereabouts are you coming to?
I'm out of Texas, and so I tend to I've investigated Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico. I'm hoping to get to Colorado and do some investigating there. I'm supposed to be going to Utah to do some investigating at some famous ranches in Utah. And I have friends over there, and I have a friend of mine that runs eTalk.tv network, and he's based in Utah area, and so he's invited me over to check out some places. And one of the places that he was pointing out for on his show that I'm gonna reach out to him about, seeing about investigating there's a location where he put his car in neutral, and it actually started from a dead stop rolling uphill. The gravity works backwards there, and it's one of those anomalies. And I'm like, ooh, I want to go and experience that and see that, because that just seems so cool.
Oh,
There's a village, isn't there? Everybody looks like they're walking backwards type of thing, but they're not.
I haven't seen that, but I'm sure there is. And there's a forest area that I know of that's got a gravity distortion. And I've heard reports that a lot of the people that go there, they can't stay very long because it starts messing with their equilibrium and they get headaches. And so I'm like, I want to go. I want to, see how long I can stay and figure out.
That sounds like a challenge to me.
But
go with your hat.
And I have an offer in New Jersey to investigate with a demonologist friend, and I have to find time when I can get up there, because it's a little hard to travel that far.
The joys of the joys. But thank you so much, Michael, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Nick, we shall be seeing Michael again. He's coming in a week on Thursday to the Graven back. So we shall be seeing Michael again. Next Friday, guys, I have a plan. I'm a woman with a plan. I can't tell you.
That's a dangerous
but I can't tell you until Friday's just going to have to come as a surprise itself.
Yeah. Well, we might have a plan as well.
You better plan not to disappear, you buggers. But that's next Friday. Next Thursday for the Graven back, we have a special guest. We have Ian Highness from Black Country Radio. Why can I say to you, Nick?
Yeah. Weird things going on.
Oh, it's his internet connection again.
Well,
Nick, have you got anything for the rest of tonight?
Besides your twin coming on the show?
It's doppelganger.
Not for tonight. It's going to be pretty quiet, at least as far as I know.
Pretty quiet. Cool. What about yourself, Michael? I know you do podcasts. Have you got any on tonight that you want to share with everyone?
Not tonight, but on... Well, let me see. I could plug my next week. I happen to have my schedule right here. I will shamelessly plug my shows. So, a month ago, I had this Team Elite Vixen Paranormal on. Well, Tuesday, I get to talk with one of their members that does her own thing too. Her name is Rachel Krebs Trisilla. So I'll be looking forward to talking with her on Tuesday night on the energy that surrounds us. Then Wednesday is I have a new author, Nikki Aubrey. She'll be on my esoteric show, Writing Through the Unknown. And she'll be sharing her ET, paranormal, and secret space program experiences. So I'm excited about that. And then Thursday on Paranormal Versus, I have a repeat guest coming on that show for the first time. Her name is Karen Wilkinson, and she wrote the book Stolen Seed about her experiences where ETs, she was proven medically to be pregnant, then felt something was wrong, went to the hospital, and they said, I hate to tell you this, but there is no evidence that you're pregnant.
Wow.
And they're like looking and going, we see in your chart that you were pregnant, but it's gone. And it's like, there's like no trace. It's like, we don't know what happened to it.
Oh, God. That must have been scary. What is happening in Nettie's world on Sunday?
Not this Sunday, we're not doing, because we're out and about. Next Sunday, we're doing one. Sunday afternoon.
Oh. Have you got any subject in mind?
I don't know, we're still going over it yet. We've got some ideas, but we've not come to
It may be a case of template 2.
Oh, interesting. Well, Ian, I can't leave you. Ian, I know you don't do any podcasts. Have you done any investigation, private cases this weekend?
Not this weekend, but I'm just waiting to be able to go back over and resolve the family's issue. So we now know what we need to do. So it's just arranging.
Hey, that.
So,
Thanks, Sarah Louise. Bri, what about you? So I'm not leaving you.
he'll be out in the Jaguar.
Yes, I'll be driving my Jaguar down the road, you know.
Oh, bye, Nick. He was having this issue last night. God love him. Right. Well, I'll wait till he comes back. Oh, there he is. But everyone have a good weekend. Stay safe.
Before you sign out, can I do a quick shout out?
Yep.
So,
carry on.
Those that are watching from the U.S., and Nick, I know you being in the U.S., you know this. Sunday is Mother's Day. So I want to give a shout out to all the mothers and say thank you for everything you've done for us, all your support and everything.
Of course.
Shout out to the moms.
Of course.
Well, happy Mother's Day to all you mums in America. And tell my mother-in-law, Mrs. M, that I say happy Mother's Day to her as well.
Yeah, don't scare his mother, for goodness sake.
Mommy M. But definitely, guys, everybody have a good Mother's Day, whatever you shall do. And have a good weekend. And Michael, it will be a pleasure to see you again in a week on Thursday.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
No problem. Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye.